Mischance Wars 96 series in the video review. This time we have from Hot Toys Suicide Squad Deadshot figure. So as you can see, we have the package in front of here. Really, I'm not too into Hot Toys boxes in general. However, the Suicide Squad ones I think are quite wonderful. I love the artistry going on here. So much, to look at and see, and there's just so much vibrant, cool colors and just a nice design in general. I think it looks wonderful. I absolutely love these boxes. And as you can see, they look pretty great together. You even have Enchantress there, dead center on Deadshot's box, which is kind of interesting. I wonder why they put that on. The other two Joker boxes, they both have Harley Quinn on them, but obviously that fits the character. Enchantress seems very random to be thrown onto Deadshot's box, but nonetheless, it looks very cool. There's some metallic red pieces on Deadshot's box, which just look very cool and makes that detail pop. And again, they look great together. If you want to display these with the figures, I think that's a totally great idea. Had they not come with backdrops, I would actually display the boxes with the figures because they're so cool. Very excited to get Harley Quinn's box. She should be in pretty soon here. So there you go. Let's get started onto the actual figure and see if the figure is as good as the boxes. So here's Deadshot out of package, but before we go into the actual figure, let's go over some of his accessories. Here's the assortment of hands that you get with Deadshot. Of course, you do get a few extra little button pieces to go on his costume, just in case they fall off. I do like it when those are included, it's just like a just-in-case type of thing. And you obviously get your extra set of wrist pegs, like normal. Going over the actual hands here, though, he comes with a set of fists, set of hands with a trigger finger out meant to hold the guns, set of relaxed palms, and then a left hand that's meant for holding the handle on his larger rifle. He comes with a nice array of hands. Really, the only other thing I could have wanted is maybe like a hand where he's pointing. That might be kind of neat, especially since, Deadshot is somewhat like the leader of the Suicide Squad, basically. So, kind of like a pointing, directing type of hand would have been nice, but overall he comes with really the ones that you need and the only ones I can think of realistically. As far as weapons are concerned, of course, Deadshot is going to come with a few guns. He does come with 3 handguns here. You've got 2 that are exactly the same. They're just kind of standard black handguns. The clips can be pulled out, which is nice. You put in right back there, and then the pin can be put out, and they're on a spring, so they'll kind of go back. Overall, these look very nice. Not a whole lot going on here, and they're just solid black, but they still look nice. And if you have some other figures that are in need of some handguns, those will work great with anybody. Then you have one that's a little more Deadshot specific. There you go. You can see it there. It does look very nice. You do have like some writing on it. Custom, that's weird. And then what does that say? Does that say new? It's hard to even see it. No, it looks like NEVII, something like that. Overall, it does look cool. I can't get this clip out. It might be removable, and it just might be like stuck on mine, but I can't seem to pull it out, so it might not be removable. The section here, though, can be pulled back, although it is quite tough. And on this side, very nice. I actually really do like the texturing on this gun. You've got that detail there, like in 5 places. I don't know what that is. But overall, it does still look very cool, and he does hold it very nicely. He, of course, comes with a signature rifle. It does have this little, like strap piece here, so you can kind of, throw it over his shoulder if you wanted to. This thing's kind of annoying, though. Like, I wouldn't mind taking this off, to be honest. But the actual detail on the gun is very nice. You do have the target symbol there, and then the I am the light, his little like motto there on the gun. Looks very cool, and I do like the weathering effect on it. It is heavily weathered. My issue with it is, you might notice something's a little missing on mine. The handle fell off on mine, like instantly, out of the package, fell off, which is so annoying. I still have to glue it on. I can get it to like just stay like this, but if I try to put it in his hand or anything, it comes out super easily. So, I mean, with some glue, it'll be good as new, but still, it's so annoying that I have to do that. Like, why wouldn't it just be in there, glued tightly enough as soon as I got out of the package. Super annoying though, just a little quality issue, so watch out for yours. And then as you can see, this little stock section can be extended and can be put back, which is nice. So overall, pretty nice weapon, and of course, completely needed for Deadshot. If you do get the Sideshow exclusive version of Deadshot, he'll come with these 2 extra accessories. I believe that the Sideshow exclusive is on waitlist at the moment though, but he comes with this set of handcuffs. I believe it opens up. Yeah, it opens up on one side, and then the handle there does collapse, so you can kind of have it like a sealed handcuff. These are the Batman handcuffs, actually, so you can use it for any characters if you want to use it for Joker or anything. However, in the movie, obviously, Deadshot is the one that's handcuffed by Batman, and then he comes with Batman's little mouth breathing section, which is cool. As you can see, it actually will plug onto the Batman figure, surprisingly. I didn't expect that, which is kind of neat. So it's neat that he comes with that. I would never want to display my Batman like that, so I haven't actually put it on him yet, but it is nice that you do get it and have the option to do that if you like. Both of these accessories, though, are not super Deadshot specific. They're mainly Batman specific. The handcuffs, obviously, Deadshot did wear, but for the most part, I think that these are really like Batman exclusive accessories. But they're still cool that you do get them, as long as you have the Batman figure. Of course, you get a base with Deadshot. I do like the overall design of these new bases. I like the just kind of simple rectangle look. They're pretty large, though. There's definitely room to stand the figure. They're quite thick as well, like the Suicide Squad logo here. That's actually sculpted on. It's popping forward, which is very nice. I do think that it looks very cool. Got a nice Deadshot, kind of like it's handwritten there almost with a marker. You have a little symbol that represents the character, this time being a target. And then the top is some sort of design. This is what I'm not a fan of. I would actually prefer them just to use like a black top with either the logo for the movie, or maybe do some sort of like color that represents the character or something. Having like an element bottom but with no sculpting on it, having it just be a picture, just looks weird to me. So I'm not a fan of this rock design at the top. I think Harley Quinn comes with the same one, which I'm just not a fan of. He does come with a little accessory piece that's kind of meant for going on this. It's a stop sign, it says stop, like a tire's driven over it, and it's kind of bent, like it's destroyed. It's just kind of supposed to be a piece of rubble. It is actual metal, though. It's it's hard and it makes a sound, but it's just kind of odd and really unnecessary. Nobody asked for that, so I'm not a big fan of it. But of course, you have an adjustable cradle, and the figure can stand on it very nicely. So overall, I do like the design of the base in general. Just not a fan of the top picture that's been added to it. Like all of the Suicide Squad figures, and now quite a few Hot Toys figures, we do get a backdrop with this Deadshot figure. I'm very happy that we are getting backdrops. I personally do enjoy them. I have the space for them, and I just think that adding something in the back that represents the figure is really helpful. And I think the Suicide Squad is the perfect franchise to do it with, in particular with their fun, kind of graffiti-styled artwork that was used so heavily in the marketing. I think that it translates very nicely to backdrops. But overall, I do like this backdrop. It is slightly different from the backdrop that was shown. It maintains the same sort of design, but the details on it are different from what the pre-order pictures have it as. Overall, it does look cool, though. I mean, you've got a kind of a bluish with some red shading on it that has just a black, like, kind of weathered throughout it. And of course, it says "Welcome to," and Belarus is the logo in the back there. But then you have the Deadshot logo directly up front. You have bullet holes throughout it. You have target marks, bullets, some skulls, and then of course you have the Suicide Squad logo there at the bottom right. This one stays very nicely. I do have like one of my backdrops that doesn't hold up very well. It kind of slouches, but as you can see, this one is very straight, which I am very happy with, and therefore I'm pretty happy with that. But overall, really do like this backdrop. I think it's very nice, and I do hope that Hot Toys continues to include these with their figures, because I do enjoy them in my collection. Alright, so now on to the actual figure. Let's start off with the head sculpt, the Will Smith one. And as you can see, just talking about the sculpt itself first, I think that it does look quite nice. Very much resembles Will Smith here. I think that they've captured his likeness pretty nicely. The only thing that's a little weird is that his beard kind of comes down, looks a little too squarish to me. Like, I feel like they should bring it back just slightly. I think that that's my only issue, that it kind of elongates the face a little bit. From the sides, though, that is pretty dead on. Overall, I think that it is a nice sculpt in general. Wish that there was a little something going on, maybe a bit of anger or something, I don't know. He's not one that like needs expression, but I always prefer expression. But overall, the face sculpt does look good. My issue with it is it's way too big, and it's not just one of those cases where the head sculpt's just big in person or it's just big on camera. No, it's either way. Like, no matter how you shoot this guy, he still has like a big head. It's very annoying. I have the head kind of like pointed up here, but in a more natural position where it's down a bit. It just looks very strange. Kind of like he loses a neck and just his head is bigger than his body. which is really, you know, it's kind of unescapable. You know, everybody's talking about it on this figure, and unfortunately it's completely true, which is definitely a shame, because I would probably display him with the Will Smith. I definitely would display him with the Will Smith head sculpt on if it didn't look so out of proportion and just kind of weird in general. One thing that's annoying about it is that the ball joint is just at the bottom, and they've kind of like pointed his head forward. Like, I don't know why they did that. I wish that the head was straightened up a bit, but instead it's like his head points forward a bit, which is odd, and something that's kind of unusual for Hot Toys. Had he had another cut right here with another ball joint similar to his masked head sculpt, that would be taken care of and that wouldn't have been an issue, but unfortunately it is an issue. One thing that he does come with is his of course his little eyepiece that can be attached. So let me put that on. So the eyepiece can be put on pretty easily, and it fits snug. As you can see, just one side goes into the ear there, wraps around the side of his head, and the other side goes to the front. Overall, it does look cool. It doesn't light up. Would have been cool if it could light up. However, it's so small, like I don't need that one to light up. The masked one, however, definitely should light up, but I'll talk about that in a second here. But overall, I think that he actually just looks better with that, because then it looks like he fits a bit more. It doesn't look like a tactical suit that Will Smith's wearing. Now it looks a little bit more like Deadshot specific, so I do like it with that eyepiece in there. I think that it does look quite neat. But overall, again, the head sculpt's nice. It's just out of scale from the rest of the figure, which I think is such a ridiculous problem since it's something that can so easily be fixed. But now let's give you a look at the masked head sculpt. Going over the masked version of the head sculpt, it looks really great. Really do love the sculpting on it. It has some dirtiness, especially around the neck area. There's some good weathering there. And I like the sculpt in general. A lot going on. His eye looks very intense, and the other eye looks really cool as well. And because of just the way that the plate is sculpted on, it gives his eye a really aggressive, like angry look to it, which I think is very cool. And it's completely in scale. This head sculpt looks perfect with the body. Doesn't look out of place size-wise in the slightest. And then, of course, the head's not leaning forward because, like I mentioned, it's not only got a ball joint at the bottom, but it's got a ball joint at the top, so you can obviously position it specifically where you want it instead of the Will Smith one that's kind of like this, where it kind of has his head pointed forward, which is very odd. So overall, I think that they've nailed this head sculpt. The only issue with it is that there's no light up feature, which is completely ridiculous considering there's just no reason that this wouldn't have a light up feature. It needs a light up feature first of all, and there's nothing that would prevent it from having a light up feature. It's not like this is an actual mask that you put over the Will Smith head sculpt. This is a completely new head itself, so there should be a light up function here. It's definitely needed, and it could have certainly easily been put in. I'm not the biggest fan of lights, so I'm not like crushed by this or anything, but it's just kind of annoying that they wouldn't put that in. But so this is actually, I display him with that mask on because it's so perfect, which is a shame though, because I prefer to show him as Will Smith, considering he doesn't wear the mask for most of the movie. Going over the actual costume here though, his bulletproof vest I think looks very cool. Love the texturing in it. Although the shoulder pad pieces have a tendency to kind of sit up like this, I feel myself just kind of like constantly pushing them down, and even pushing them down, when I let go, it still like pops up a bit, which is annoying, you know, and that just adds to his more no-neck look when he's got the Will Smith head on, which is definitely annoying. The armor pieces though do look very cool throughout it, and then the costume on the inside is pretty skin tight, but it's a very stretchy material, and it does look very cool. It's, you know, I liken it to the Superman and Vision suit, but without the rubber quality. It's like that as far as how stretchy it is and how skin tight it is. However, it doesn't feel like it's a rubber material. It feels specifically like cloth. So that's kind of an, you know, if you can kind of get an idea of what it's like based on that analogy. But overall, it is wonderful because it doesn't hinder articulation. As you can see, double hinge elbow. Beautiful, no hinder on articulation there at all, and I've had him pose like this for like a week now, and stretching it back, as you can see, there's no wrinkles. It's wonderful. It has all the benefits of that like rubber Superman type of suit, but without any of the negatives, because it doesn't leave the wrinkles, which is awesome. So love that. You know, has great range and no side effects to the range. The pouches here are all, they look very cool. It makes it kind of fiddly to kind of move them around, trying to pick up this figure and to like change out the head sculpt. You're like worried about where to grab them because there's so many little like loose pockets, you know, throughout the entire thing, which is kind of annoying. And on the back here, it's got this like loose section. This is the area where you can store his guns. They just slide right in there. which is very cool. I'm not sure how they're attached. It feels like so loose. Like, look at that. You can just move it around so easily. It's kind of annoying, but it hasn't like fallen off or anything, so I imagine that it's in there tough. But as you can see, store the weapons there, which look cool. And these ammo packs, you do put them in yourself. They're not actually there already, so you can kind of load them up, which is kind of fun. It makes it like when you get him out of package, he looks a little not right, and then when you throw in all the ammo packs, then you're like, yeah, this is Deadshot. So I do like that quite a bit. Let's move down a little bit and talk about the pants section. Before we go over the pants, his gauntlet sections, you do have the weapons there, and they do say, I am the light, the way on them. They're nice and all, but they don't really look aggressive. Like, if you didn't see the movie, you wouldn't even know that those are guns. So they're not a ton of fun to, like, it's not fun to pose him with a fist and have him like he's shooting out of the wrist, because it doesn't look like he's shooting. It just looks like he has his arm up. I do find that the hands are extremely annoying. Trying to peg them into the actual wrist peg is extremely hard, just because of the gauntlet sections here. I find that the hands pop out way too easily, and it doesn't feel like they plug in at all, which is so annoying. He does have another little pocket here, which is meant for holding this handgun, so you can slide that in there. The legs, kind of a looser fitting pants section. The knee pads look very nice, but what's annoying is on this side, for me, this one keeps popping out. Now it's just a little clasp there and a little like notch, so you can just move it over and you can just kind of put it back on, but it does pop off so easily. It happens all the time. Super annoying. It's a small thing, but it's certainly annoying and noticeable. He has a little section with a knife there. You can take out the knife. His boots look quite nice, pretty aggressive, and because they're pretty far open at the top, they do have a good range pivot there. As far as the articulation is concerned, it's pretty great. Like I showed you, the arms are the only place that I would think that there would be some concern, and of course the arms have tremendous range. The head articulation is far superior on the mass version because it has ball joints in two places instead of one like the Will Smith's head. Then the rest of the body is all very well articulated. The thighs are the only place that it might be slightly hindered, just, you know, because it's a thigh section, so usually it is hindered. It doesn't go forward very far at all. It does go out a pretty decent amount though. But other than that, all the other pieces on him have excellent range, and you can put him in some quite nice and intense poses. So overall, I do think that this is a pretty solid figure. It has its issues though, with quality control. On mine specifically, it's like the clasp on the knee, it's the handle on the gun, and it's the fact that the hands do not plug in very strongly at all to the wrist section. But as a whole, it does articulate very nicely. It has a pretty slick, pretty neat costume. The mask head sculpt is pretty close to perfect, just missing the light up feature. And then the Will Smith head sculpt is nicely sculpted, however it's so big, it doesn't even look good on the figure. So it's kind of like, what's the point? I would have preferred one that like wasn't as good but actually like fit on the body, you know? So it's just it's kind of disappointing from that fact. But overall, I do like it. I wouldn't consider this for any like kind of lighthearted Suicide Squad fan. If you're a fan of the Suicide Squad movie in general, or you're just a fan of comic book villains, which is kind of where I'm coming from. The Suicide Squad movie, I liked aspects of it, but there was also a lot that I didn't like. I mainly bought this because I'm a big comic villain fan, so any villains, even if they're a bit anti-hero, is still good enough for me to purchase. So I'm very happy with this from that perspective. However, you've got to be a pretty specific person to want this figure. I think that a lot of people are going to pass it up, and I wouldn't blame them for it. It's certainly not mind-blowing. Anything that's like really good on this figure hasn't. It's all been done before, so there's nothing too spectacular about it. However, I do think it is a pretty solid figure overall. So if you are getting this figure, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. However, I don't think you're actually going to be blown away either, especially since the price tag is pretty high. I mean, it's $245, which is a bit high for this figure. He does come with two head sculpts, which helps balance it out. He is definitely like a better deal than like Joker, but still, I do think that he is a bit high on the price tag as well. So overall, I'm happy to have this figure in my collection. I do like my Suicide Squad shelf because of the backdrops and the fun, unique colors on the backdrops and the fun, unique colors on the characters. It looks like a really nice setup for me personally. So I'm very happy with my Suicide Squad setup, and I'm very anticipating the Harley Quinn's release, which at the time of filming this, she'll be here in a couple weeks, but I think by the time I post this, she might already be here. So very excited for that figure, and overall quite happy to have this figure. So let me know what you guys think of this figure, and thanks so much for watching.